Hello and welcome to our talk, Top 3 Trends for E-Commerce Leaders. I'm here today with Amplitude and BitBang. Simone Drei, Head of Testing and Optimization. Hi, Simon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And Aude, Strategic Success Manager. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, my pleasure.
Just before I hand it over to you, I would just like to direct everyone to the attachment section. Here we've put in a success story and some other documents and ways to contact us. So do feel free to download any attachments you wish. I think I will leave you to the rest of the webinar.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, so for today's webinar, the agenda is first to start with a quick introduction on what is BitBang doing, and also what is Amplitude, what's our solution, and then dive into what are the top 3 trends for e-commerce we've witnessed working together. And then we'll see Amplitude in action with a live demo, and then we'll conclude for next steps if we want to stay in touch. So I'll transition to you, Simone.
Thank you. Thank you, Aude. So welcome everybody. BitBang is a consultancy company, and for almost 20 years we've been providing services to our enterprise customers to support them in taking data-driven business decisions. More in detail, we manage tailor-made solutions designed specifically to help your business achieve the desired objectives through executable data strategies. Our focus is essentially to help companies on processes which involve data, both from a strategical but also operational perspective, from the very first definition of the requirements, for example, to the design of the data collection, to the elaboration and enrichment, of course, of data, until the final activation based on data, staying focused on the objectives we are working for. Aude, if you want to introduce Amplitude now.
Yes, of course. So just to take a step back on why our solution exists and why we want to talk about it today. Basically, this has been a long time that we have been saying this, but we are in the middle of a digital revolution. So what started as content and commerce on websites has quickly shifted to daily digital interactions across website, apps, and a connected device overall. So digital products are part of our lives. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you interact with many digital products. From your daily workout to collaborating with your team, working on tools such as Atlassian, or the moment you go shopping for food, you are always in contact with digital products. And in fact, building a great digital product is today essential for the future of any organization. So your digital product drive value for the customer and outcomes for the business ultimately. So what it means is that teams must constantly innovating and what you can imagine is that leveraging data is critical nowadays. So these are some of the digital products that are powered by our analytics and personalization from Amplitude. So again, to put that in perspective, we have learned that the reality of our customers of digital products are changing quite fast. So one interesting number is that the IDC predicted that between 2020 and 2023, we are going to have the same amount of digital products that in the last 40 years. So this is massive. When you think about it, every team now has to position themselves to either disrupt or being disrupted. And digging into why and exactly what they are experiencing as pressures from the market is first, there are so much competition, right? This is the first thing. So much products that are doing the same thing than us. So this is the first thing. Then more and more customer choices and increased expectations are appearing, right? And then one critical thing is the growing complexity in the devices and the apps and the experiences, which leads into data complexity overall. And the last one, to stress even more the situation, is the need to move quickly, in fact. So there are rising expectations from either executives and also customers that expect you to ship new products, new programs, and new campaigns very quickly. So in fact, to overcome these pressures coming all your way, companies must be constantly optimizing their digital experiences. And for that, this requires a deep understanding of the customer and how they engage across the customer lifecycle. So the teams must know the impact of their bets, from the new features they are shipping to campaign performance. And so they can know where to double down, what is working, what is not, and what to do next. But to do that, you must make sense of all this complex data to answer the central question: how do our digital products drive your business, basically? And so when you have the ability to access all of the data that is available from the first time a customer signs up to every time they are logging in, to making a new purchase, add up new features, or are part or even a test group that you are running, you can actually unlock some very actionable insights your team needs. And questions that were previously unanswered or foggy, let's say, can be now answered in a matter of minutes. So with all these insights, ultimately, you can answer the most strategic questions your business needs in order to take action. So we accomplish this at Amplitude by delivering a system of interconnected solutions. So if we take a look at this slide, you can see it starts at the bottom of this diagram by the real-time data management to plan, integrate, and govern all of your product data, enabling a single view of your customer that is always high quality and secure. So if you move upward, this data is fed into what we call the Amplitude behavioral graph, which is the brain of the system. Just for going into the details very quickly, we invented a new database, which purpose is built for very complex and interactive behavioral queries that helps your customers, our customers, not only understand past user behavior, but also be alerted of changes in real time and predict what will happen next, basically. Empowered by the behavioral graph and data at the core, we have built the world's leading product analytics application to deliver self-service insights into product data. So all teams, from product management to marketing to growth to analytics to engineering, can align around common visibility into user behavior and make ultimately data-driven decisions, and this happening fast. So our customers can then complete the loop using either Amplitude Recommend to translate this insight into action, target audiences based on behavior, and personalizing each individual user experience, basically, or use Amplitude Experiment to configure those experiences and automatically test for impact. So overall, this outcome-driven, continuous process of learning and activating your insights is what we call the digital optimization system, all tied together as a collaborative and integrated and self-service product suite, basically. Okay.
And I think this slide makes very, very clear how it works and how it's all interconnected. So the fact that you are able to collect data and information, analyze them, reach them, and also that gives you the possibility to do activation on them, which then leads you again to do further analysis. I think it's very straightforward and clear, and that's one of the slides I appreciate the most out of Amplitude. So getting to the next topic, which is the core of the webinar, the top 3 trends for e-commerce we are seeing with our current customers. Well, the first trend we definitely see among most of our e-commerce customers is this: understand what key milestones motivates users to purchase and become able to optimize for conversion. In particular, about this trend, what we see very, very often is that there might be some kind of struggle in our customers in understanding where and when is it more strategic to intervene. What we need is actually a real-time insight into customer behaviors, into what's happening with their behaviors. So yeah, Aude, I think it might be very interesting for our audience today to see together later how Amplitude is able to help in answering these kind of questions, of activities. Another very common objective we see in e-commerce is actually to keep my visitors being customers after their first purchase. Understand which is the right audience of who could respond positively, let's say, to initiatives of cross-sell or upsell, can actually be the key to success in this. So this is definitely taking our second position as a trend in e-commerce. Create personalized experiences to target the different needs of each of your customers. As Aude was saying, Amplitude is actually made for personalization. So we'll definitely provide you an example of how this topic can be tackled through Amplitude. Keeping talking about personalization, the third trend we wanted to mention is a kind of step forward in that same direction, and is this: invest in an omnichannel strategy to recognize the single customer through each different touch point. For this objective, in particular, identity resolution is the way to go, definitely. And I hope we'll have some time later during our demo to share with you also this very cool side of Amplitude.
Okay, let's see how we can show that with Amplitude in action. So for the demo, what we plan is showing you some e-commerce use cases using the product we call Amplishop. So it's a demo environment based on a retail example of this. So let me share my screen to move directly into the demo.
Yeah, I think that would be perfectly fitted for this first use case. For example, to start by how we can analyze the conversion funnel of our Amplishop project. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if we want to analyze the path, when we are clueless about what is happening between the first event when the user entered the app and then purchase, what is happening in between? So what we can actually do is create a new analysis and pick, for example, a funnel, right? So we know about the 2 steps. We know they start a session and we want to look at people that complete a purchase. So now we can take a look at the conversion rate within seconds. We know that we have 14% conversion rate. That's great. But what is happening to this user that complete a purchase? What did they do between the start a session and this final outcome? What we can actually do is click on here and discover this feature called microscope when you want to dig in the data and actually understand the user journeys. So when you click on there, you can see you have a starting point and the end point that we defined. And you can discover what are the most common paths for your users. So we can see they start a session, most of them log in, they land on the main screen, they search for items, and they view the details of the item. Some of them are directly looking at the recommended item, but the most common path seems to be that way. And here we have different paths. Either the user end the session, or it looks like they are favoriting item right before adding it to cart. So this is actually a very good insight, and we might want to dig into each and every step to understand and to validate this insight, basically. So looking at the dashboard where we added this first path, this first discovery that we saw, we can then look at our extended checkout funnel. So this is the same type of analysis where I did like every step of the funnel, and I can see now where I am dropping users, basically. And we can see clearly, early stage here, we are losing a lot of users. And if we click here again on microscope, what we can actually do is explore the conversion drivers, what helped the customers actually convert. And when we click on there, we can see we have a correlation between users that added to cart to users that actually favorite item. Exactly what we saw in the user journey. That was the first insight we could confirm here. There are also other insights there, but are less correlated, such as, users that actually add a product to cart want to see the seller profile. They want to know more about the brands. They also, check the recommended item, etc. But the one that we are going to take a look more clearly is the favorite item.
So yeah, it looks like one of the most positive actions which impacted the good conversion, the adding to cart, is the fact that people add the item, the product, to their favorite. So since this is highlighted from the platform as a good positive factor in the impact of the conversion, I think we should definitely try to enhance the way the favorite button looks like, how we could try to have more people adding items to their favorite list. So yeah, for example, an A/B test should be easily implemented to highlight it in a better way, let's say.
Okay, perfect. So let's take a look at how we can do that. So the way it would work if we want to enhance the button of this favorite button would be to navigate into our suite, into experiment, and then put in place these changes. And the good thing is that once you've done that in Amplitude experiment, you can then access the data quite easily. So now I took a checkout funnel until the adding to cart, which is our goal ultimately to improve for this objective. And then I can access the A/B test I've been doing in Amplitude experiment. This A/B test add to favorites, which doesn't require any further implementation since you have been doing it in Amplitude. So then I can access my ABC test, so the control version where there is no changes. Then I can add my red button. And I did another version with the green button. So just by adding these segments, so this is users that had been affected to either one of these versions, I can see then the difference of performance for each version. So here we have the conversion rate for the red button and the green, and of course the original one. Okay, and then we can see clearly that this red option was the most performing one, but the question you need to ask yourself next is the data complete? Is your A/B test significant? And what is the overall improvement if you decide to move forward with this version? So for that purpose, you can navigate to the improvements tab of the funnel analysis, and you will have your control as the 0 here, and then your version red and your version green. So it shows you that almost 30%, you're going to have 30% of uplift, if you are moving forward with this version. we can still see here that this test is significant, but if you want to see how significant it is, you can move to the significance and see if it's 100% yet or not.
Awesome. I think actually this just gave us a concrete, very concrete example of how Amplitude can translate, in this case, I would say a multi-level analysis, since we've been taking different point of views on different elements in just, a matter of clicks. So pretty fast and easy to do, I would say. Also, one thing I really appreciate about the platform is having the opportunity to manage in the same environment, in the same platform, both the data management, data collection and analysis, as well as the final activation part. I think it can really provide more speed to the whole process. So very, very cool example. If we want to move to the second topic, which we mentioned, the second trend, personalization and understanding who could respond well, for example, to cross-sell activities. So which approach would you share with us on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the cross-sell use case, the right approach is to first start by understanding the situation as of today. So just for the context, AmpliShop has 4 categories of products. They have women clothing, child clothing, children clothing, and men clothing, and also jewelry and accessories. And what we want to understand is what is the distinct number of categories our users are purchasing today. Are they purchasing only one category or several categories when they're purchasing? And actually what we can see here is that they are only purchasing, one, a little bit more than one. But actually we have 4 categories, so it's quite low. So when we take a look at that, the next question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is the impact on revenue when users are purchasing only one category versus when users are purchasing several categories? So when we look at the revenue overall, we can then segment even further and ask questions around different type of user, different type of segments. So basically here I can select a previously created cohort, which is users that purchase only one category versus users that purchase 2 categories. Okay. So looking at that, we can see clearly that from a certain point, users that purchase 2+ category bring way more revenue to the organization in terms of average revenue per user. So this is really why we want to double down on users that make sure user can purchase several categories. So how to take it from there? So we need now to understand which combinations are interesting, what we can suggest to users. So basically here we can take the use case of people that have been purchasing only women clothing, right? This is the first category of the website. We want to understand what could be a good combination for them. So then we can imagine to complete a funnel to see if the user that completed a purchase where they purchased women clothing also viewed some jewelry and accessories product. And it looked like 66.5% of your user that completed a purchase, afterward, they were looking at some items from jewelry and accessories category. But now we want to understand, did they purchase afterward these jewelry and accessories? So we can change this and make it complete a purchase of jewelry and accessories, and we see we have a quite significant drop. if we want to qualify even more, we can even look at user that added after viewing the jewelry and accessories. Did they add it to carts before purchasing? Yeah, we see the drop is way less, right? So a lot of users have been adding the product to cart but didn't purchase. So what you can actually do here is take the user that added to cart but didn't purchase. So you can create a cohort and say qualified users for retargeting purposes, let's say. So now I just named my qualified cohort. It's computing, and I can now take a look at it. Okay, take a look at my cohort, which I just created. Okay, qualified users for retargeting users purposes. Okay, so now I accessed my cohort with the definition. This is a dynamic cohort, which means that every time a new user enters this definition, it's going to update. So what I can do from there is basically either export the CSV or directly, since it's interconnected with our recommend and personalization solution, being able to sync to any type of messaging or emailing destination that you have. Yeah, you can set it up here and basically decide if you want to do a one-time sync or an hourly sync. So it can check hourly if there are new users that have this definition.
Well, I think it's definitely tied to the second trend we mentioned, because we were talking about personalization as a trend, but in particular, not just personalizing, but also understanding who is correct and who is more open to personalization, basically. So this segment, this cohort is absolutely high, very super high value and high engaged segment. I think I could bet that any kind of personalization made for these specific users, those who purchased the first item and added a second item of a second category to the cart, activities like discount or limited availability or urgency messages, maybe those would have very positive, tremendous results. So yes, super useful example again. Thank you for that. And well, since we're actually good with timing right now, let's try to face also the third trend, the omnichannel and cross-device topic. Maybe we can start, for example, with an overview of the most common devices used on our Amplitude project. So to better understand which one is bringing in more revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. So the omnichannel and understanding where the users are using our products is very interesting to me. So the first question I ask is, okay, in the last 30 days, what is the most recent platform our customers have been using? And then from these charts, which is the user composition chart, split by platform, I can then toggle to cross-property values. So this is when you can actually understand how it works in Amplitude with user identity resolution, because you can then see this is not device-based, but user-based, because some of the users are actually using our product both on web and on iOS, right? So we can reconcile the combination of devices they are using. And this is actually very, very interesting to see that we have quite a bunch of users that are using both web and app, or two, maybe not two apps, that can be a phone and a tablet, for example. So that would be the first way to look at things. Another way also to look at things is trying to understand we've seen now that we have users that use 2 devices, and we have users that use only web or only apps. And actually, what is interesting is looking at users that use both are generating more revenue, right? So they have better conversion rates, maybe navigating on web and converting on app. So this is the kind of initiative some of our customers have been working on, is trying to reconcile this experience from one device to another, and even try to reconcile the experience from an in-store purchase to web and maybe app later on. So a good example of this would be the case of a user that purchased in a store, right? So he purchased a product in an Amplitude store. Maybe it was, I don't know, a shirt, let's say, a shirt, a woman's shirt. And so in the shop, they send the bill, the receipt by email. So then the marketing team worked, the marketing and the product team worked on recommending items based on what the user purchased in store. And so we can explore a bit what would be the perfect flow that we want to optimize. Basically, the user view a recommended item from in-store receipts, and that was on email after clicking on web, after clicking on an email. And then we try to push these users to actually download and view the product on the app, and to complete the purchase funnel on app. And this is where we can see how we can optimize this funnel day by day, and try to work on this flow of in-store from web to app and a purchase ultimately. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, this use case is very interesting because, yeah, being able to keep track of information and data, even cross-channel, cross-device, recognizing people through each of them, could really bring personalization activities to the next level. In this case, for example, what I see is we could be focusing both on customers who moved from the web to the app, so the one who did the translation, to provide them through personalization activities a consistent experience, so something which makes them understand we recognize them and we provide them a dedicated experience or content. But also what could be interesting here is also focusing on those who didn't yet switch to the app, so using both information of the positive flow but as well the negative flow, because actually trying to convince our users also in downloading the app and using it could definitely have a big value and big importance for our business. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Thank you again, Aude.
My pleasure.
Okay, so if we want to switch back to the slides, as we've seen during our webinar today, during this call, Amplitude is basically made for self-service insights. You've seen it; it's quick and nice to play with, and could definitely help you making your daily activities easier. But if we want to mention a fourth, let's say, extra trend we see in our e-commerce customers, sometimes we see there could be some issues, some difficulties in facing the accessibility of new components, new platforms, which they just added to their MarTech ecosystem, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is exactly where we can help, and how the partnership between Amplitude and BitBang can help you the most. Take advantage of the solution, and then support you to define the best adoption strategy to, take the solution, know how to use it, and make sure overall in your organization you tend to have a more and more data culture flowing and make sure it's well integrated in your workflow at every stage. To make sure to define from insights to what to do next, and everyone is aligned because it's backed up with data, understandable and accessible data. Basically that's the goal.
Yeah, totally agree. Our partnership is there just for this, so absolutely true. In case you want to further discuss anything of what we've seen today together, here are you can see our contacts, our detailed contacts. So yeah, just get in touch with us if you want, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible for sure.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye.